everybody, welcome to my homestead and welcome to my channel. I have some additional information about the women's session in this upcoming April General Conference. This is an article that's on the church website right now, talking about the upcoming conference. And at the end of it, it kind of explains a few things. I guess now, okay, this was a month before I started the channel. So I wasn't really watching these things too closely back then, and that's why I missed this. Now, before I go over this is a First Presidency letter, July 27th, 2021. I want to give everybody a refresher that what we had going on was from 2015 to 2017. Okay, these were within the President Monson's years. It goes back further, but for these 1, 2, 3 years, for each General Conference, April and October, we had the women's session, and then we had the priesthood session. Okay, so we had both during that conference weekend. Women first, and then priesthood Saturday evening. And then it changed to priesthood during the Saturday evening session in April, and then women in October. So it started to alternate. Then we had the joint session, which means that instead of having a women's session or a priesthood session in April 2020, it was just a Saturday evening everybody session. And then we continued with the pattern of women in October, priesthood in April. And then we had another joint session, or an absence of a priesthood or women's session, last conference, October 2021. And now this one, it's going outside of this pattern, okay? Sorry that this is kind of like a rehash of the last video that I did, but just in case anybody missed it. So now we're having the women's session, this upcoming conference, Saturday evening, and it's going to be the April conference, which up until this point, it had always been in October, following this pattern. Okay, so I was wondering about that. A lot of you were wondering about that. Are they going to continue the pattern? Now it's going to be April, women in April, and then priesthood in October, or what's going to happen? Well, okay, so in a First Presidency letter dated July 27th, 2021, the First Presidency wrote about the Saturday evening session of General Conference, noting that a basic principle of the gospel of Jesus Christ is the blessing of continuing revelation, wherein the Lord reveals his will, giving line upon line, precept upon precept, here a little and there a little. That's in Doctrine and Covenants 128, verse 21. Quote, "The Lord directs his work according to changing circumstances and needs," end quote, they wrote. And that, I think, is really the answer right here as to what's going to happen in the future. I don't think that it's going to necessarily go back to a set pattern of women priesthood. The way that I take this is that anything could happen. That it's now going to be very adaptive to whatever revelation is being received from the Lord and the conditions of the world and the church. So it's an interesting thing. It's interesting that we're in this phase now where it seems like it's not everything is so set in stone like it used to be. Now, there's this kind of adapting to circumstances and revelation. Well, revelation and then also circumstances. In the 2021 letter, they noted that the format and schedule of General Conference have been changed many times over the years. Quote, "Some sessions of General Conference were designated for specific groups of members or leaders, such as the welfare session, the women's session, the priesthood session, and other sessions designed to address topics pertinent to specific organizations of the church," end quote. So I swear, for my part, being a child of mostly the 80s and 90s, it felt like to me that it had always been just simply the priesthood session Saturday evening, and I think I was aware of occasional like women's sessions, but it wasn't really on my radar. So I thought that that was just like going to be kind of like the permanent thing, just always priesthood Saturday evening session every conference. So I had no idea that there was ever a welfare session or sessions for specific groups of members or leaders. So this is coming as news to me. But whatever the case, there was kind of a pattern before, and then it's kind of changed, and then it started to alternate and change and joint, and now we have women coming up in April. So it seems like going forward, it's impossible to tell what October is going to look like, and then the following years could be anything. So I just thought I would bring this update to you. Again, this comes from a First Presidency letter from July 27th, 2021. All right, so let me know what you think in the comments below. Let me know if you've participated in some of these other sessions, like a welfare session or whatever. And make sure to like this and then share this with anyone that might find this interesting. And I'll talk to you guys later.